Hi guys, it's Ellen and today I have a new scrapbook layout to share with you. So I'm starting off with a plain pink background paper, and this is just from a paper pad from the works. And then I fussy cut some floral pieces from a Cartabella paper. And then I also have some chipboard pieces here from Dusty Attic. So I've taken some of these circle chipboard pieces and I've popped out the circles, and I'm going to use them as well. And I want to colour these pink. So first of all, I'm just using a makeup sponge to cover them all with white gesso, just so the pink shows up a little bit better on these. And then once I have covered them all and let them dry, I'm using some Paper Artsy infusions in magenta, and I've just sprayed that onto some packaging, and then I'm just dipping the chipboard pieces in that on the side that has the white gesso on it. And this worked out really good actually. The colours stayed on these pretty well, and they get a bit lighter once they're dry, but that's good. I wanted more of a lighter pink. So I've put them to one side to dry, and then I'm going to work on my background. And this is my massive box of scraps, so I wanted to try and use up some of this because it's just overflowing now. So I'm just flipping through and trying to find some pink pattern papers. I also use a marble paper as well, because I want to use a strip of pattern paper going across the centre of the page. So yeah, I'm just picking out a few different colours here that I think will work. And then I'm going to layer these up in the centre of the page. So I want the marble piece to go either side of a pink pattern piece. So I've taken my marble scrap here and I'm just cutting it roughly in half. And then that will go at the top and bottom of the pink pattern paper once I choose which one I'm going to use. So I go for this side of the pink pattern paper here. Both of these papers are also from the works, various paper pads from there. And I'm going to distress all of the edges of my papers. So I'll go really heavy-handed with the distressing because I want them to have lots of texture. I also add some tears into the pink pattern paper so you can see a bit more of the marble behind it, and then I'm just sticking all of those together. So like I said, a strip of the marble on the top and bottom of the pink pattern paper. Once I'm happy with that, I'm going to hand stitch across it. So just using a white thread, I off camera stitch along the top and bottom of the pink pattern paper where it meets the marble. And as I was doing this, I had a tear in the pink pattern paper, so I just did a cross stitch over the tear, and I actually really liked how that looked. So that worked out quite well. So once all of that's done, I'm going to add some texture paste to my background. I didn't colour this or anything, it's just white texture paste. And I found a circle stencil. This has lots of different sized circles, so I thought this would go really well with the chipboard pieces that I've used. I'm just adding a few areas of texture paste across the background of my pattern paper, and I'm going to create clusters around these texture paste places. So with the chipboard pieces, you can see they're now all dry and they're a lovely light pink colour. I wanted to add some gold, but I didn't want to cover up any of the pink, so I've just used a dry rough brush and very lightly gone over the top of all of these pieces just with a bit of gold, so the pink still shows through and there's a bit of sparkle on there as well. I'm going to keep that gold paint that I've got for a bit later, because I'm going to add some splatters. I took some white gesso and added splatters around all of the areas of the texture paste. So I just watered down some white gesso and splattered them over where the texture paste is. It just makes it look more like the texture paste is supposed to be there, if that makes any sense. I've then got my photo. This is of me and Oscar, and I'm distressing that. Once I've trimmed it down, I'm distressing the edge and then sticking that onto some plain white card, and then I'll distress the edges of all of that as well. So I'm now ready to assemble my page, how I want everything to go. So I want my photo on the left hand side of the paper strip I've got going across the middle, and then I'm just laying out my chipboard circles and big floral pieces, and I'm just going to move these around until I'm happy with them. I'll also add some foam tape to the back of my photo to prop that up, so that's sort of the main feature of the page. And then once I'm happy with how this is looking, I'm going to go ahead and stick down the floral pieces and the chipboard pieces. So with the chipboard pieces, I just stick them down flat. I just use PVA glue in my fine liner bottle, and then I put something heavy on top of them to stop them moving. With the floral pieces, some I stick down flat and others I use a bit of foam tape behind as well. So some of the leaves have foam tape on, so it sort of props them up partly. Hopefully you'll be able to see what I mean here. And yeah, I'm just going to go through and do this with all of the different pieces on my page. Now going to work on my title. It took me a while to decide what to use as my title, but with lockdown and everything being in place, I thought Let's Stay Home would be a good title. I've used two different types of stickers here. I did stick them down with glue, but I go back afterwards and stitch through each of these. It just makes sure that the alpha stickers stay on, because they do have a habit of coming off after a little while. I also added a pink satin bow to the bottom of my photo, so I just used some pink ribbon and tied a bow, and I'm just adding that at the bottom of my photo. I'm going to add some tiny word stickers here. These are very old. I can't remember where they're from, but they're just sort of a pink watercolour phrase sticker. So I've stuck some of those below my title. And I also found this little happy die cut piece that I've stuck down. And finally this sort of gold border piece, which I chopped in half and I've stuck that on either side of my page. It just adds another gold element to the page. So I'm now going to stick down all of these circles that come from inside the chipboard pieces, and I'm just tucking these under all of the flowers and all of the different ephemera pieces. And I'm going to go back and add some white thread under each one of these, where I've got the white thread on the page from the hand stitching I did earlier, and I'll also have the white thread through my stickers, so I thought I would tangle up some white thread and add it underneath my chipboard pieces just as another texture. So I'm going to go ahead and stick all of that down. And the final thing I do is I go back to that gold Deco Art paint that I used earlier. I water that down and add some spatters all over my page, and that's my page all finished. So I hope you enjoyed this video, and as always, thank you very much for being here. Bye guys!